started with IBM Rochester in December 1956. The IOI building opened up in 1956 as well, in what is now the ABC building. That was Industrial Opportunities. They had the contract to build that building. They built it specifically for IBM at that time, and that's where IBM got started in Rochester. They opened up with about 200 people during that time frame, and that was and then in they also in 1956 IBM had purchased 400 acres where the current site sits, which was as most of us know, that was an awful lot of land. That was right adjacent to Highway 52. IBM opened that, as I said, purchased that in 1956. In the middle of 1957, the first building opened up. I think in August, actually, of 1957. The first building opened up on what is now the current IBM site. The interesting thing about the first site, in the main entrance, which I think is still the main entrance, they had fountains on both sides of the main entrance. So, and of course, they were intended to, the water shot up about 8 or 9 feet. There was obviously no experience of what happens in Minnesota in the wintertime. So in the wintertime of that first year, we had about an 8-foot icicle, actually like a cone, inverted cone in the front of the building on both sides. But that was the last year that stayed open in the wintertime. It came out of a small town. And had some background in mechanical applications with other companies. I worked for Honeywell as an example, and before I came to IBM. But then coming in and within a relatively short time going into managerial positions, going up through multiple levels of management with IBM, transferring from there into a business planning operation and having an opportunity to virtually travel the world and negotiate contracts with external companies and a lot of large companies. There was certainly satisfaction in that, and something that I really enjoyed. And for Rochester, it was ideal from the standpoint there was a lot of really talented people throughout all southeastern Minnesota. And so they really had the luxury of hiring a lot of very good people, both non-skilled people who later became skilled, as well as engineering people. So all the way from when it started in 1956 through latter part of 1979 to 1980. There was continuous growth in facilities and people, opportunities for people. That whole span, they kept adding and adding and adding until it got up, I think, and at this current time, I think it's over 2 million square feet, if I recall correctly. The first 5 years, IBM was primarily a mechanical facility here. And it became really the gem of the IBM Corporation towards the manufacturing. But then they brought in the design, and that just added to it. And now you can design, develop, build, ship products. But they went from there in the mid 70s. Then they went to the systems. The Systems 3 was developed here in the development lab. Then they went to the Systems 32, 34, 36, 38. AS400s, and that took all the way from like 1970, early 70s, all the way up into about 1980. I think it was through great leadership that this facility probably became the best in IBM in terms of full encompassing manufacturing. It had not only assembly and machining people, but it had a tool room, tool and die room. It had we had our own heat treat facility, our own plating facility. In fact, those became my first managerial position. So you could take it from design all the way to a shipped product in this one facility. This facility kept growing, new products kept coming out, and so you had great opportunities. IBM had right way back to its inception, IBM had great educational opportunities. You could, right from almost the day they came in here, they set up evening classes for employees that could take everything from basic mathematics to engineering to just social skills. The other thing they had, which was really unique, IBM really believed in it, came all the way back to the Endicott Poughkeepsie locations for recreational opportunities for their employees. They set up a big park right next to the IBM facility where there was softball, leagues out there. They had a recreational department that was outstanding, staffed very well, so IBM employees could go to be in golf leagues, they could be in bowling leagues, they could be in softball leagues. IBM furnished the facilities. If there was fees involved, you got some reimbursement for those. And as I think you may be well aware of, they had picnics in the summertime. It was an exciting time because, as I said earlier, there were just so many opportunities, and you just had the feeling if you did a good job and you worked hard, you'd be rewarded for it. And it was not only, again, IBM had a full employment. They had two major things. One was a full employment goal, and they had a stated, it certainly wasn't a fact, but it was a stated objective that they would have promotion from within, which was unusual for a lot of corporations. And those things really sort of, I think, set the base for satisfaction amongst employees. You know, you had opportunity, you know, you could, like a lot of, you could come in, you could buy a home, you had good opportunities to raise for your family, and it was just a fantastic time. I recall when I went in management in the mid-70s, annually we'd have management meetings during those years, and actually later 60s through the 70s when I was in management and into the 80s, our annual meetings, we'd sit in the meetings, and every year the growth objectives were 15%. I mean, you just sit in there and we'd just blow the top off the 15%. But then in that latter part of 1988, when the industry was changing so much, IBM probably didn't react quick enough, because I think in 1990, 91, 92, 93 were really tough years for IBM, and that's when the layoffs started to come, where there was, I think in 1992 or 93, one of those years, they lost $8 billion. As I said, there was a lot of pride being with IBMer. Unfortunately, that's really not near as strong as employees that today. There's really not many left there that I associate with very, very often. But there's not the feeling anymore that there used to be in terms of just that loyalty toward the company. But again, I think that goes two ways. You know, it's not the family environment anymore. If I just take it down to some of the simpler things, the park out there is gone. The family picnics have gone. There's just a small Christmas for retirees, I think, that goes on now. I don't even think that the employees have it. So those personal touches that IBM used to give their employees have gone in the way of corporate America. And as large as it was, it always had that small company feeling.